cheeky of Nicola Sturgeon to talk about the Tories making massive cuts in schools, where it's you that's been making massive cuts in the school budgets in Scotland. It's been discussed in the way that schools have been run down here. No repairs, teachers being cut, classrooms assistants being cut. I want to know how are you going to sort that out without blaming the Tories, because you lot are responsible for schools in Scotland.
I absolutely accept responsibility, but yes, the SNP government is responsible for education policy in Scotland. I would never try to deny that, but I would take issue with some of what you've just said. I mean, local government who directly run schools have got higher budgets than they've ever had before. 260 schools have been completed since we took office in 2007. In 2007, there were 250,000 children in Scotland living in below standard schools. That number's been reduced by more than 100,000. So there's a long way to go, but I do believe that we're making progress.
Are you cutting back on any of your? Are you cutting back at all on your plans for changing or improving schools as a result of recession?
Well,
are you in the same boat as the coalition government?
Well, we have a budget. Well, we have a budget that is set by London. In this year, the budget was cut by £500 million. So we have to cut our cloth. We have to balance the books. Unlike the Labour government, we don't have the ability
Nicola,
to run up debt. So we have to balance our books, and that's exactly what we'll do.
You say it's important that ministers accept responsibility, and in your second answer, you don't accept responsibility for cutting 2,500 teachers in every community in Scotland. Why is it, Nicola? Why is it in my constituency in Paisley we now have the worst pupil-teacher ratio in Scotland? It's a direct consequence of an SNP council and an SNP Minister of Education who literally should get his joters.
Ed Byrne.
But one more, just seeing as we're talking about school, do you remember when you were at school and you forgot your PE kit? I think Michael Gove should have been forced to give his apology in his underpants.
Okay. The woman up there, and then you, sir, and then we move on. Yes.
Me.
You.
The lady, Michael Muir, before the election, you said that you would oppose school closures, you would oppose Trident. And talking about locally, it's the Lib Dem in Edinburgh SNP Council have closed 6 schools in 2 years. So I think you've got a cheek to sit and say that.
Well, I mean, every local authority in the country, every government, whether it's in Edinburgh or in London, has got to make the decisions. No, but they've got to make the decisions on the basis of the finances that are available to them. And I mean, just to pick up the point about Nicola talking about the schools she's opening, they were mostly schools that were actually funded and actually started under the previous Labour and Liberal Democrat executive here in Scotland. Now, there are difficult decisions, and I've repeated this several times already this evening. There are difficult decisions that have to be taken, and absolutely nobody wants to close schools if they can at all avoid it. The difficulty is that the public finances are just not what they once were. In fact, they're an awful lot worse than we thought they were, and we've got to make decisions accordingly.
Say again?
Sacrificing the children's lives. Schools shouldn't be. Schools' budgets need to be increased.
All right, and you, sir, here.
Forget, it just doesn't affect the kids, it affects construction jobs and the construction companies.
May I just make one point? I mean, perhaps I'm a bit out of date, but in 1987, when I was the Education Minister in Scotland, we introduced the Self-Governing Schools Bill, which allowed schools to be run by the school boards themselves. There was only one actually took advantage of that, and that was St Mary's Dunblane. And they had to build an extension. And they found that when they went out to tender themselves, that it was 25% cheaper than it was with the local authority. And when they looked at the budget which went for that school, a quarter of the budget was spent in sterling at headquarters and not in the school. And that is what Michael Gove is trying to do, is to get the money down to the school level and to remove a lot of the bureaucracy and waste which we all know goes on in the chain of command from the centre down to the school. That's what it's about.
Do you want to make a brief